ดี๋ยวเราเริ่มทบทวนกันนิดนึงนะคะแต่ที่เขาขอให้เขียนจะได้สติ๊กเกอร์ชิ้นเล็กๆไปใช่ไหมคะที่แนนซี่แจกนะคะให้แต่ละคนเขียนอันแรกนะคะเขียนชื่ออย่างที่เราเรียนรู้จากเมื่อวานนี้ที่เราได้เรียนรู้จากเมื่อวานนี้นะคะโอเคไหมถึงอันเขียนแล้วก็เอามาติดที่นี่นะคะแล้วก็อีกอันหนึ่งให้เขียนว่าเมื่อวานนี้มีเรื่องไหนที่ยังรู้สึกสับสนไม่เข้าใจไม่ชัดเจนแล้วก็ต้องการให้อธิบายเพิ่มเติมหนึ่งอย่างโอเคไหมคะชัดเจนไหมโอเคค่ะลงมือเลยปฏิบัติอันนี้ดึงอันต่อเลยนะคะเขียนเสร็จแล้วติดได้เลยค่ะไม่ต้องเขียนชื่อค่ะทั้งหมดeven if they ask them who's their name เขียนก่อนนะเอาอันนี้ไม่เข้าใจเลยจะนั่งในร้านเหรอไม่เข้าใจเยอะมันทำแค่2 คน
Hopefully we get
ค่ะอันที่เราไม่เข้าใจต้องการแบบมีอีกเอามาเยอะเอามาให้หนูมีแค่นี้
ที่เข้าใจผมแข่งกองที่เราเอาไปที่เรียนแล้วก็มีหลายแบบโต๊ะไหมมีเรียนรู้ด้วยเลยเรื่องมีเรื่องที่ไม่เข้าใจแล้ว
ปลาพยูนภาษาอังกฤษเนี่ยมันต้องพยูนภาษาอังกฤษ
อันนี้ภาษาอังกฤษเข้าใจ
ไม่ต้องปลาพยูนพยูน
เมื่อวานที่หนังสังเกตว่าเราตั้งกฎเมื่อวานเนาะว่าเราจะแบบปิดโทรศัพท์เราจะrespectความคิดเห็นของคนอื่นคือทุกคนเคารพกฎกันได้ดีหมดเลยแต่ว่าสิ่งที่เห็นก็คือว่าที่นันที่บอกแล้วว่านี่เป็นเวิร์กช็อปนะคะไม่ใช่เทรนนิ่งเฉยเพราะเราต้องมาแลกเปลี่ยนเรียนรู้ระหว่างเพื่อนกันเองกับแลกเปลี่ยนเรียนรู้กับเอ็กซ์เพรสที่มาให้ความรู้เราเนาะมันที่แบบยังไม่เห็น discussion เกิดขึ้นเมื่อวานนี้ยังไม่เห็นคำถามมากนะวันนี้อยากขอให้ลองพยายามใช้โอกาสนี้นะคะเรียนรู้ให้เต็มที่นะคะที่แบบไม่สามารถช่วยอะไรได้มากเพราะว่าแบ็คกราวด์ไม่ได้มีแบ็คกราวด์ทางด้านนี้นะคะแล้วก็เพิ่งจะมาทำงานกับทางใจเรสออนได้เดือนเดียวนะคะก็มาที่นี่เพื่อมาเรียนเหมือนกันน้องๆจะมีต้นทุนเยอะกว่าอย่างนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นต้องอาศัยต้นทุนของตัวเองที่จะแลกเปลี่ยนกับผู้เชี่ยวชาญที่มาอยู่ตรงนี้นะคะวันนี้เป็นอาจารย์ มีใครยังไม่ได้มาแตะอีกคะมาแตะข้างหน้าไหมคะ
So I'm going to read this out. Well, actually, it might be tied. No, it's all in English. Okay. So I'm going to read out loud so our two instructors can hear this, okay? So one thing that they learned yesterday, and just one, I'm sure they learned many more, right? Good answer. Okay. They learned, I'm going to get my glasses. Okay. So you learned the difference between wildlife vets and zoo vets. The 5 freedoms. I'm not sure what that is. The 5 freedoms. You don't have to tell me. We'll work that out. Okay. If you wrote the 5 freedoms at some point during the day, could you just come up and give a little more detail? Wildlife vet responsibility, wildlife research techniques, all right? Wildlife research techniques, animal welfare, zoo vet versus wildlife vet, ethics in wild animal research, zoo vet versus wildlife vet, what roles and responsibilities, wildlife techniques, wildlife research techniques, ethics in big letters, I like that. Wildlife vet responsibility, ethics and welfare, vet ethics, difference, zoo vet, wildlife vet, ethics, and then wildlife vet, ethics, the ethics everyone is great. Yeah, good. One thing that was confusing or where you need more information, wildlife research. Field biologist responsibility. Zoo vet versus wildlife vet. Wildlife research techniques. Again, wildlife research technique. Wildlife research technique. Hair trap. Wildlife tech, because some techniques more completely different from my work, okay? That's okay. I can apply that, okay? Wildlife technique, wildlife research technique. I'd like to know more about when to use each wildlife research technique. Okay. Wildlife technique research. Okay.
Wow, I did that.
Alright, so maybe we'll take people who understood it up here and match it up there, or down here. This is very helpful for us because this helps us understand what it is that you didn't completely understand so that we can possibly fit in session today or tomorrow where we can go over this again. Right, Dave? Do we have to do smiling?
What?
Okay.
And then we may do another session on wildlife research techniques before this is over. Have
Field
questions.
biologist responsibility. So maybe Dave can do another session quickly tomorrow, about 20 minutes.
Maybe we'll do a little now while we're waiting for 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I want to do it in a way of talking about what kinds of things they could do back in their stations, and that will give a little preparation for the last day when Dr. Parntet talks about assignments.
Okay, but I think that the specific techniques that are being mentioned here, how about if we talk about that, you and I, and then we can present something tomorrow morning? Is that possible? Dr. Parntet, can we play with your schedule a little bit?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. All right, so you can talk about the project that you're speaking of. And then wildlife research techniques, we'll do a quick session in the morning tomorrow. Make sense? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I would like some sheets of paper.
Big one?
Medium size. Okay, yesterday I talked to and also Gia.
Yes.
And they both have some content, and it would be very helpful for the Wildlife Research Division to have some information on identification. So we'd like to be able to estimate the number of bontains using the identification rate and doing a transect where we look for the dropping of bontains. And way we do it, we talked yesterday, is we go through and we lay out a transect and we look for bunting droppings. And we walk a straight line with a compass and put a stake every 20 meters for about 400 meters. And every 20 meters, clear a plot and look for the center line. And while we're walking, we look either side for bunting. And when we find a bunting scat, we mark it. We mark it, and that's a way of throwing it out. Then we come back after 30 days, we walk the same transect and count the number of bunting droppings. So we know how many bunting droppings we have in 30 days. If we know the defecation rate per day from Jackson A, I didn't get it right. We can calculate how many bunting. So, okay. So, why we want to know this goes back to being able to monitor the activity of chiefs. If the chief is trying to reduce poaching, you should see the bunting go up, you should see the salmon go up. If he is trying to keep people out of the edge of the park, we have a lot of people come in like May Wong. Half the park is used by humans. Umpang, maybe 3/4 of the park is used by foreign workers. If the chief works to have less human activity in the park, we should see the number of visitors. So we'd like some way to measure how the prey is going on. So this is an ecological project that maybe some vets could help with. So you guys could help by looking at defecation rates. If you look at defecation rates, maybe you can come up kind of and work with the researchers there and get to know them. They get to know what you do as a vet, and you get to know help them with their research. So what I'd like to know is, have you think about is what kind of activity you could do between now and our next meeting. It would have something to do with some kind of ecological research that might help the wildlife research using your breeding center. Right. So I gave one example in defecation rate. I'll give another example from my talk. We'd like to know more about the tooth development of almost all young animals. So for the tiger, I'd like to know for sure when the adult canine is fully out. I said yesterday about 17 months, but I made one observation of one animal at 17 months old in a canine corral. I made one observation, I showed you at 9 months, and the milk canine was coming out, a little tiny piece of adult canine. So anybody immobilize tigers, we need to look at, we need to know the age, take a photograph, and get some information on the tooth eruption. If we immobilize any other young animal, we need to know something about the tooth eruption. So that's a different kind of project we could do. It would be nice if we had some idea where you work and what species you have. If you're at a breeding center, maybe I can take that back to Utsaban, who heads the Wildlife Research Division. We don't have that information. they know a little bit. You know, I have Foods Monk, oh yeah, there are some bears over there, but they don't really have a database of what is at the different breeding centers, how many animals they have. And let's see if we can't use some of those captive animals to think of some projects to help with the wildlife research. That could be a good activity. So what I'd like to do is have you write down, I have now the address of Ratana, right? Is that right? Ratana. And also and Nantita. So, and I have their numbers so we can call it, and I want to arrange something there. So if you could write down what species you have at your center you might want to work with, and your telephone number, and maybe we can take that and how many of the animals you have. Not all the animals you have there, but ones that might be good to do some research.
An email address.
I want, what?
An email address, too.
An email address.
Yeah.
And specifically, I'm personally interested in a sambar and a bantang, any gaur. I don't know if there's maybe no gaur. Somebody told me there's one gaur in Kaoyai. That's about and maybe some primates. Who has some primates here?
Let's say.
What primate do you have? Okay.
And given.
And let's see. Who has the bears? Bears. And how about with different bird, any bird species?
I wasn't sure about how many species because now I'm look about the wildlife crime.
Wildlife what?
Wildlife crime.
Wildlife crime.
Yeah, and we have a new species more. So now I don't sure how many species of birds there.
The confiscated birds will send to the Yin Center.
Any confiscated birds
Yeah.
go to you?
Almost our confiscated birds sent to.
You keep them all alive?
Try.
I don't know.
Okay, so let give me a list of what species you'd like to work on and you have at your center, or what species you have a lot of, okay?
เข้าใจไหมคะ เขาแจกกระดาษให้นะคะ แล้วก็ให้น้องแต่ละคนเขียนว่าเขียนชื่อตัวเอง เขียนโทรศัพท์อีเมลด้วยนะคะ แล้วก็บอกว่าที่ศูนย์ที่น้องทำงานอยู่เนี่ยมีสัตว์พันธุ์อะไรบ้างที่ทำงานอยู่นะคะ แล้วก็ตัวเองคิดว่าอยากจะทำงานกับสัตว์ชนิดไหนพิเศษนะคะ
How many centers do you have in Thailand?
24.
24? Wow. So some centers have no vet. Wow. Can you write about any center that might be good to do some research at that have good animals? Also, maybe ones that you're not at.
ในจำนวนสัตว์ก็ได้ค่ะ
So who takes care of the animals at the center where there's no vet? Come from university? You have, or the vet? Both? From time to time. From time to time.
About 5 minutes.